Hey guys, I'm Naya and welcome back to the channel. So today I have a guest here with me, and fun fact, he's actually one of the first content creators that were and still are at time bigger than me, who actually when I was still a teeny tiny YouTuber, even smaller than I am now with only 300 subscribers, actually invited me to his channel, which I appreciated a lot, and I thank you again for giving me the opportunity. And today I invited him to my channel so everybody can welcome Yata with me, and we're gonna do a tier list, and it's the first one on my channel, and we're gonna do a dope tier list. Honestly, we're gonna talk about all of the best decks and about a bit worse decks, and sort of what you can look for in the upcoming format. So welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me on your channel. I'm excited for this. So yeah, it should be fun. It should be fun.
Dope. Well, I am as well. It's good to have you. So I'm ready. I have everything over here, every single deck that you sent me. So we need to discuss that.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Dope. So what do you think? Maybe before we start, what do you think about the format? Honestly, like at this point, are you excited to play this kind of format for the I guess 2 or 3 months to come?
Oh, at first I was excited because a couple of things came off the ban list, like snow came off the ban list, and then like skill drain. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so snow was the exciting part, but then like skill drain to 3, and then like scythe didn't get touched, and I'm just like, oh no, Konami, what did you do? Like you were doing a good job, so I feel like they forgot to touch a couple of parts. So it's gonna be a scary format, I think. Then
Oh,
the
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So, starting off, I guess we can go like by the order that she put it in because it's quite random. So we can start with Drytron. What do you think about Drytron?
Oh man, like Drytron was one of those decks where I didn't really expect for them to get touched in the ban list, but somehow Ava got banned, which I'm not surprised because like nobody likes to play against a deck that puts up like 6 Omni negates. So I feel like Konami was like they don't like those decks that just literally put like a bunch of Omni negates. Pendulum used to be this way, and that's why I don't think Electromite is gonna come back because it just facilitated like those scary boards where like only like Sphere mode could like out those boards, like sometimes not even Sphere
Right.
mode. So I feel like Drytron was like the closest things to one of those decks. But now since Ava got hit, now they're having to like rely on the megaliths. So uh, I've seen a couple of their replays, like
Hmm.
in person and also on the DB grinder, but I would probably say like either like tier 2 or rogue. What do you think? What do you
Okay.
think?
I
Mhm.
think we should put it in tier two. I'm putting
Okay.
it in tier two because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, and I've heard about a good friend of mine is a huge like Drytron fan, and he just wants to make the deck work,
Yeah.
basically. And he's talked to me a little bit about different sort of techs you can run and the Van Dread stuff and all of that.
Mhm.
But I still think it's sort of I guess, and this may sound weird, but it's like too bad against other decks. Like compared to other decks, I don't think it can perform in a way it could before. Just because the edge that Joy-Con had was the fact that even if you Dark Ruler them, they still have like 3 negates in their hand, with the Herald and the Eva and everything else. So I think it cannot be higher than tier two, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with you 100%. Yeah, tier 2 I think is the correct spot to put it. Yeah.
Okay, dope, dope. All right, so then we have prank kits. We're starting off with stronger decks, of course.
Yeah.
So I think I would put prank kits in tier one, honestly, and it's simply for the Brave Engine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're the practice master. I've tried playing this deck, but
So-
I suck at this deck. So I feel like you know like better about this deck.
I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. I think the Brave Engine is what gave prank kits what they were missing, and I think it's sort of insane how much it works with the deck and how many things it actually gives the deck because of the first chain block and then the sort of Nibiru proof way how you can go about doing your combo, and it's just awesome. And the deck itself, I think the Meow hit hurt, of course, but not to the point where you cannot like be just chill about going to an event with this deck and
Hmm.
actually think you can win, because one Meow hit is nothing compared to like the entire Brave Engine that Prankit's got. So That's sort of the TLDR of what I think about them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I remember back in the days, like nobody expected much of Prankies, but somehow they were top. When Meow was at 3, it was just topping left and right. Even when Dragon League was a full power, and like Dinos were a full power, and then like they were still topping, and then now that they got like support with the Brave stuff, which is like they have such good synergy with, it means that they can chain block their monsters and stuff like that. Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay, dope. So, moving on to IDS. So, what do you think about? Well, we put Alistair here, but it's the entire sort of IDS mashup of every single variant there is, basically. And what do you think about that deck?
Oh, this one's a little bit tricky because, like, at first you like look at the ban list and it's like, okay, the Fusion Destiny got hit to 2, and then the Nadir server got hit to 2. So it seems like it's not really that big of a hit, but this is. I looked at this one and I'm like, okay, what are you gonna say about this one, Yara? Cause like,
I'll put you here on the spot.
Yeah, cause like, I've seen it online. It almost always loses. So I don't know if like the small consistency that it lost was a like bigger hit than I expected. But I don't know. I honestly don't know where to put this on. Where would you put IDS? What do you think?
I don't know. I'm leaning towards just leaving it until the very end.
Okay. Yeah, let's go back to that one. Let's go.
Yeah, let's return to Alistair. I'm not sure yet. Like I'm between. We should put like a tier 1.5 in the middle, but I'm not a fan of the tier 1.5. It's just, I don't know. It's weird to me. So maybe at the top of tier 2.
Yeah.
We'll decide.
Yeah.
We'll decide as we go.
That sounds good.
So dinosaurs. Okay. I don't know. Do you recommend that?
It's a fun deck where like I feel like it appeals to those people that like, oh, like big dinosaurs and like OTK and stuff like that. They also have like the combo version of dinos where like they use like the scrap stuff, but that also bricks a lot. The Misk hit, I remember thinking, oh, like Misk hit is not really gonna hurt that much, but all the Dino players that I talked to were like, oh, that was like a bigger hit than you expected, because like that means that now you either have to like you basically only have one unless you play like cheesy stuff like the corridor stuff like that to like shuffle back your Misk from the banish pile. So I don't know. I would put it either like Rogue or a tier 2.
But we can put it in Rogue.
Yeah, Rogue.
Like it's not exactly not recommend.
Yeah.
Because like for sure, if someone just wants to go wild, dope.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah. So Flunderies. I was such a fan of this deck. Like in theory, I was like, wow, that's insane. That's so cool, and it's got so many cool cards. But it just seems like a deck that's not really doing anything.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like in terms of just success at events and overall at what the deck actually like accomplishes in its turn, I don't know. It just reminds me of those decks that sort of were hyped and then they flopped.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a fan of it in theory, but now seeing it perform IRL, I think it's just Rogue, and that's really sad, honestly. But yeah. What do you think?
I mean, I agree with you. I know they're gonna get that quick spell, the one that like you pay cost to search, but I think it's like very similar to decks like Eldritch, where like sure they got like skill drain to 3, but you still have to like top deck like their strong cards. Like you have to like if you draw into Shifter and your Shifter resolves on Flunderies, like you're probably gonna win, but it's like you have to get lucky.
Right.
So yeah, I do agree with you on the Rogue placement, where like
we can put it at like the top of Rogue.
Yeah.
It's not that bad, but it's not exactly, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so Solomon Grade. I always like to like bully and joke about Solomon Grade around the channel. Like legit, I just make fun of it for no particular reason, but it's just so funny to me because it's been out for so much time, right?
Yeah.
And it's still there. Like it's not exactly the most viable deck, but it's still there. So, yeah. Do you recommend it? Like I'm honestly wondering.
So I
just saw it a couple hours ago. Oh, sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're fine. What were you gonna say a couple of hours ago?
I saw it as someone like topped an event with it or something.
Oh, I didn't see
Was
that. I didn't
Salamangreat?
see that. Yeah, I didn't see that.
I saw like
Yeah.
it was like a deck profile, but I didn't click on it because it's Salamangreat. And I didn't really care that much. But I was still like, it tops. Cool.
Yeah,
So
so I love Salamangreat. Like I own the deck in person. I own it in Master Duel as well. And like, yeah, I didn't know you were gonna bully me here on the tier list, but but like, um, yeah, like they got circled to 2, but it still struggles throughout the whole thing. Like even I feel like even if they unlimit everything, like unlimit Gazelle, unlimit Circle, like it still wouldn't be able to compete. Cause like it loses to Scythe. I mean, if they Scythe you, you need to link summon. You need to like use your extra deck, and I mean it does what it does decent. Like their best end board is like a pop and a counter trap card, but like you have to open crazy. So yeah, I would put Rogue, but I don't know.
we can put it like between Thunderies and Dinos.
Yeah, that
So
works
as
for
to
me.
not completely shit on the deck, but like it's still there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think what happened to Salamangreat was the power creep, and that's it. Like it can just not compete with all of the other decks, and I think that's it basically.
Exactly. Yeah. I agree with you. Like we're like some of the newer decks, they're like better versions of Salamangreat. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's well put. So then we have Sky Striker. So yeah. I don't know. A funny story about Sky Striker is like last weekend or a weekend before that? I think we had like a local event. It was like around 20 people. And my husband got second, right? And he plays Sky Striker, but like he just said that the deck is so bad. Like, he doesn't understand how he got second. He just knows that he can play it well, but he played only with Destiny Hero. Like he didn't play Striker stuff.
Yeah.
He just played Enforce. Right? And
Yeah.
he was like, wow, it mind blows me how this deck just does not do anything. So I found that so funny because I played it like way back when everything was at 3, and then I never played it again. So yeah, do you have any more experience overall with the deck?
So Sky Striker for me is kind of like your Salamangreat, where I like to bully people that play Sky Striker. Only,
seriously?
Yeah, I don't like the deck at all. Like every time I like watch like the DB Grinder, or like if I watch like an in-person duel and like I see Sky Striker losing, I have like a smile in my face because I'm like, man, like I don't like that. I want that deck to lose. I don't know if because I used to play against it when like Engage was at 3, and like like I have like bad memories of that deck, so, like PTSD.
It might have something to do with that.
Yeah.
I love that deck. I think it's such an awesome deck, but it's like it draws too many random hands, and with Engage at 1 with the lack of Ray and Rose sometimes with your hands, it's just like, you look at it and it's like Afterburner and Widow Anchor and 2 random things and like a Veiler, and it's just like, wow.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, I feel like
I don't know. I still wouldn't put it like in Vogue. I was gonna put it like at the bottom of tier 2.
I agree with you. I feel like if they see Ray, they're having a good time, but they're like very Ray reliant. We're like, like if they see Ray, their win percentage is gonna go up, but if they don't see Ray, their win percentage goes like down. Like not even Rose is like a good replacement for Ray, because Ray just like can play through like so many interruptions. So like, yeah, I agree with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, dope. So bottom of tier 2 it is.
Yeah.
All right. Then we have Altergeist. So like, I don't know. It's 2022. Like if someone is so playing Altergeist, it's like, and I'm not being rude. I think it's so interesting. Like I genuinely find it so interesting. I don't know. I think the deck is just bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And like they I mean multi-fakers at 3, I mean all their deck is like basically full power, and it's still like, especially I think with like Feather Duster coming off the ban list and like Lightning Storm being a thing, Red Rebus still being a thing, like they struggle against all these like board wipes.
Right. I don't know. I would put it in not recommend.
Yeah.
It's just like,
yeah.
It's nothing against like Altergeist players or Trap Deck players or anything like that, but if you're gonna play something, I recommend you play Eldritch because it does more.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only thing. Like I would just put it in not recommend because I do not recommend it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Cool. Okay, so Dragon Link. So you talked to me a little bit about Dragon Link, how you're playing it, and I
Yeah.
have a lot to say about it also because my husband is like a Dragon Link master
Uh-huh.
above everybody.
Okay.
so,
Uh-huh.
yeah, what do you think about it? You go first.
Oh, okay. So Dragon League, that's like my baby right there. So let me I if it was up to me, I would put it like a tier one, like I know that I know what it struggles with.
Mm-hmm.
It struggles to a lot of like floodgates, or like it loses to shifter. But how do I put this? How do I put this? Looking at the like I know the rank 8 the vampire card just came out, and I was like very excited
Mm-hmm.
at first. I was like, oh man, this card is gonna be insane on this deck because you can go chaos ruler mill 5, then you could go into the vampire mill another 4, so you're basically
Mm-hmm.
like milling 9 in one turn. But like then I've been looking at a couple of replays where like the person activates vampire and they're playing against like phantom knights or eldritch, and it's like, oh wait, I just helped out my opponent, now I have to like struggle against what
Right.
I helped them out with because they milled like some key cards that they would want in the graveyard. So I feel like the
Mm-hmm.
rank 8, it may not be the play. It might be the play if you know exactly what you're playing against, but blinding it may not be the case. So the
Yeah.
yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
if it was up to me, I would put tier 1. But what do you think? What do you think?
I mean, I honestly agree. I
Uh-huh.
think what the main problem of Dragon Link is the Dragon Link players. And what I mean
Uh-huh.
by that is if you make a shitty build, it's
Uh-huh.
not going to work. And it's like this with every single deck, obviously. But when
Yeah.
it comes to Dragon Link, I think it's like you can play legit whatever. You can play 40, you can play 50, you can play 60, you can play 43, you can play whatever, but you need to make like you need to count your ratios and you
Yeah.
need to build Dragon Link properly because you do not want to draw like 3 Noctivision and Levianeer and Abstrad and just look at your opponent
Yeah.
because
Exactly.
it can happen. And it's like, yeah, I think Dragon Link is awesome. I think it has amazing potential. I think it has a huge ceiling, and I think with the Brave stuff and the sort of what people have been cooking up in the last couple of days, we've seen those deck profiles pop up here and there. I think it has ways to go. But with Dragon Link, I would still put it in tier 1, but I want to stress out how important it is that you have a good build and that you're a good Dragon Link player. And this may sound weird, but you need to play this deck well and know the ins and outs of it because you're just going to flat out lose if you don't play Dragon Link properly.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you 100%. Yeah, you could tell like the difference between like a good Dragon Link player and like somebody who just picked up the deck because they thought dragons were cool or something like that, and they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Okay, so we have Tri Brigade here.
mhm.
Yeah, I guess together with Tri Brigade, we can mention Luna Light also. We don't have it here as like a tiny little picture, but I can edit it in later. But I think Luna Light should be mentioned here as well. So have you tested any versions with Luna Light Brigade in particular?
I haven't tested it myself. I have seen like some like combo videos on YouTube and like some gameplays as well on Luna Light, and um, I don't know how. Like whenever I play online, they always open the absolute nuts, and like they play through like all my hand traps, and I'm like, crap, this deck is insane. So I don't know if I'm getting like good or lucky Luna Light Tri Brigade players, or the deck is actually good. Like I think that, I mean, they can set up a pretty crazy board. Like they can go into like Infinity, or they can like just end up like on Revolt or like Dweller and stuff like that. So. Like I feel like Tiger coming out is gonna be like it's gonna give the Tri Brigade people like a lot more testing ground. So I don't know, like I don't know how resilient it is through interruptions. If it was up to me, I would put it at tier 2 for now because I don't know if I've just been getting unlucky at playtesting against them, but I mean the deck seems like it can do a lot. What do you think?
So I would probably put it at the top of tier 2, but just talking just about Tri Brigade overall, or maybe bottom of tier 1.
Okay.
Because if you look at Tri Brigade, so I've been testing it, a bit in the last couple of like I guess weeks,
Mhm.
and I tested it with birds, and I tested it with Luna Light, and I took it to like a locals a couple days ago with Luna Light, and what happened was I just kept drawing these weird hands where it's like you break on your own engine. Like you see 4 brigade names and then you see a parfum. And it's like it's way too random, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
And also with DPE, I was talking about this with my husband like at the event, and he was like, you should not play DPE in the deck. Like in theory it sounds cool, but it just makes everything way too bricky. And we came up with a better build, and I think it might work better. But overall, I think the Lunalite version of Tri Brigade is just a funner version of Tri Brigade. And
Okay.
if you're actually gonna take the deck seriously, just play it with a small bird package because it does a whole lot more. Because at the end of the day, the birds are just free bodies and extenders, and not like a particular sort of engine you need to get going with multiple cards.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know about the cat version though. I haven't tested this like after the ban list. But it was cool before. It just wasn't doing as much as the bird version was when it was still full power.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would put brigade, like overall brigade, at the bottom of tier 1. Like
Okay.
if you can build it properly and have the proper extenders in the deck. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, I feel like, I mean, the deck does what it does. It was popular all last year, and I still think it's gonna be popular this year because like it does what it does well. Like it does like non-targeting banishing, and like you have a lot of like routes that you can go with it. Like you said, like Luna Light or the birds or just like pure. So and you never or like DPE, but like you mentioned, it might not be that good. So yeah, I feel like it's very flexible and. It's just a good deck. I always get unlucky against the deck. That's, but I'm trying not to be. I'm trying not to be biased. I'm trying to just be as objective as possible. But yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
That's good. All right, so I can see you put the DDD here.
Yeah.
We were building.
Yeah.
So what do you think about DDD? I think DDD is it's so funny to me, and I might be the only one, but I think it's so cool how many people like DDD.
Yeah.
Like it's so interesting because when I started playing, like Zodiacs were a thing, right? And I remember everybody was talking how DDD never got to be popular because Zodiacs were too prevalent. And everybody was like, well, Zodiac is so dope. Not Zodiac, DDD is so dope. It's such a cool deck, but I never actually got to see it do anything because the other decks were just better. So with the new support and everything else, do you think it's actually like a legit rogue deck that someone can pick up?
Based on what I've been seeing, I think it's pretty solid. Like it can set up Baron as the 5th summon. Like if they open specific cards, and it has like a searchable, like almost like a red reboot that you can play on the side deck, where like it negates all trap effects on the field. So it has some pretty good tech options. Like it can play around Nibiru. I think it's the best pendulum deck at the moment. Like I don't care what Trip says or any other of those YouTubers, that like. But I think yeah.
But we need to mention Pendulum as well. I can see there are no.
Yeah.
We can talk about that thing. Okay.
Yeah. So like, in my opinion, is the best like Pendulum deck. Where like they have like almost like a crackdown. They can take the opponent's monster. They have a lot of pretty cool options. I don't know if it's just because it's like new and a lot of people are like, wait, what the heck is this? I mean, a lot of people haven't even played against Pendulum, so they're like, they have to like read all the cards. So. That might be the case where a lot of people are like kind of like lost, like, wait, what the heck is this? Why is there a lot of text on these cards? So I think might be like one of those like we'll have to wait and see. But if you would, I don't know, I would put like either Rogue or Tier 2. What do you think?
I would not put it in Tier 2 though. Like it's not like near Drytron, I think, and stuff like that. Yes. I would put it at the bottom of Rogue though. Yeah. Like it's there, and you can pick it up and learn the combos and everything and see what happens basically.
That works.
Oh, okay, cool. So I guess should we mention IDS at this point? Like, are you cool with that?
I'm okay with that.
Okay. So I think we should put it at the top of Tier 2.
Okay.
Because it's not the best.
Yeah.
But it's still doing what it does.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Like it still makes Winda and it's
exactly.
Okay, cool, but I don't know. With everybody making Droplet and things like that, I don't think it's such a threat anymore.
Exactly.
Or maybe I just haven't seen it that much.
No,
I would put it at the top.
I agree with you. and
Okay.
like Nadir was like the best card in that deck, and now from 3 to 2, I think it's a pretty big hit where you might not seeing all your opening hands anymore. So, because
Those kinds of decks really rely on consistency. Like they need to see their stuff to play.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you think about Eldritch?
Oh, Eldritch. Okay, so Eldritch gets a lot of hate. Like my most disliked video is I made an Eldritch profile of Master Duel, and it has like so many dislikes. Like people are like
Master Duel Eldritch? Well, no wonder.
Yeah,
Never really Eldritch anyway, but when it comes to Master Duel, it's even worse.
Exactly. Like I was like, what the heck? Like people hate this deck, and like, and I also made like a poll on YouTube where I was like, oh, like what's more toxic, combo or trap decks, and like almost everybody agreed that like trap decks are more toxic. But like I feel like Eldritch is like the trap deck right now, especially with like 3 skill drains and like there can only be one rivalry and everything. Ooh. Okay, well, I want to know what you think. What do you think of Eldritch? What do you think?
I mean, now I need to be like objective.
Okay.
I just don't like it when people play these kinds of decks.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, but at the end of the day, like if you cannot beat the Eldritch dude that you get paired up with, like you cannot. It's not that you don't deserve to top. That sounds way too hard. And it's not like, but it's like it's an obstacle that you need to overcome. Like if you're at an event, and I know you can get unlucky, and that's a problem I have with this deck. That if you get unlucky, it's like not up to you. Like it's double skill drain, or it's like a judgment and a skill drain and a conk and a busted hand. But you know, sometimes, or maybe like, I don't know, quite regularly, you should be able to beat this deck just because of the amount of backrow removal we have in the game. And overall, if you choose a deck wisely and you know you're going to combat Eldritch at your event, I think you should be good. However, I'm still not a fan or supporter.
Yeah.
Anyway, with all of that being said, I think we should put it at like, I guess tier 2, maybe above Sky Striker, under Joytron.
Yeah.
Like it's still, you know.
I agree with you. And I feel like this deck, if Scythe being in the format is not enough to like convince people to like play like Cosmic Cyclone, then I feel like Eldritch will be, because like they're playing the Lord of Heavenly Prison that you won't be able to like destroy it with like Lightning Storm or anything like that. So I feel like Cosmic Cyclone may be like one of the like best like cards at the moment, because he also plays against Scythe, because you know where they set the Scythe because of Dagda, so you can always just like chain to the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. So I feel like Eldritch might be like one of those decks that convinces people to switch over to Cosmic Cyclone.
Right, because at the end of the day, if you're not sort of preparing your deck and building your deck for the event you're going to, I guess you cannot bitch about how you got, I don't know, I guess sacked or something. If you're not running backrow removal, if you don't have some of the things in the main deck, maybe even that you should have. So there's that. I don't know. I sound like I beat too much.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you on the placement where you put this.
Okay, cool. So, what do you think about Beat Trooper?
Beat Troopers that deck is just funny to me. Like, it topped at the UYCS and like last bandits. Right now, I mean it can put up Scythe and Destroy Phoenix Enforcer like a lot of decks can too. So, but. Do you think, because I know Herman topped, right? But did anybody else do anything with this deck? No, I feel like it was just him, honestly. So I feel like it might just be the player and not the deck, right?
I would put it, just because of that, I would put it in not recommend.
Yeah.
Because I think if you're not exactly training with a deck, and it's not just Beat Trooper, like I'm not saying it's such a horribly hard deck to play or anything like that, but if you're not specifically training with one deck, I don't think every deck can be like, you know, just
Yeah.
a recommendation overall to people in a format. So I think Beat Trooper is one of those decks where it's just like,
Yeah.
you know, you can still pick up, like someone can pick up ADC tomorrow and do good with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if it's a player that's been piloting the deck for some time.
Yeah.
So I think it's very much the player, not the deck.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like it's like the same thing with like the DDD, where like a lot of people don't even know what the deck does. Like people didn't know where to hand trap Beat Trooper. So I feel like if Beat Trooper does get popular, like it's gonna not top. But like it's cause like a surprise thing. Like people are like, what the heck are these beasts doing in here? You know, like they don't know like where to hit it or anything. So like I don't think the deck is good. It was just maybe like it caught people by surprise. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Guru. What do you think about Guru?
Guru, that's one of the first decks that I ever picked up when I started playing. And it's gimmicky. It can play under skill drain because the trap card makes it so that your subterror monsters effects cannot be negated. So if you flip your trap card, you can play your all your monsters are unaffected by skill drain. So you can main deck skill drain. But yeah, I don't think that the deck is good, honestly. I think it might be like not recommended. Not recommended.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
However, we do recommend Phantom Knights. I would put it in tier 1 at the very top.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think deck is tier 0 in this format, but I think Phantom Knights are insanely good.
Yeah, it's like one of the closest decks to being tier 0. Like it can just do so many things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like it's insane. Like it legit, since Torn Scales dropped, I was always like, I picked up Torn Scales right when they dropped because I was like, well, this deck is gonna be awesome. We're just gonna have to wait a little. And now is the time. Now, like the time has come. And I think the deck is so good, but I also think it's quite hard. Like it's not one of those decks where you just pick it up and just do well by default.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to put in some work, like when it comes to Phantom Knights.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like Fogblade is such a crazy card because like not only is it like an imperm where you can negate stuff, but it can also like monster reborn something. And if you have like Rusty, you can like pop something. And it's like one of the best decks that can set up Scythe, Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. They can do it like so easily. So this is one of the best decks, and it can abuse also like the Brave stuff like so easily. So like this deck is like benefits so much of the format. Benefits from Scythe, the Brave token, like just Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. It's crazy.
But you know what I think is cool? That you don't need to play Brave.
Yeah.
So it's like if you want to play a bit more budget, since everything did get reprinted, including Thorn Scales and all of that, you can still play it that way because a Brave token, I think, is not as necessary in the TCG as it is in the OCG when it comes to Phantom Knights. So you can also run it without and do well. And I think that's awesome. Like when it comes to a top deck and you don't need to spend that much money if you don't want to, I think that's cool. And it's an incentive to people to actually pick up the deck and play it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Because I myself would love to pick up the Brave stuff, but it's so expensive. So yeah, especially like you said, it's good that you can play this deck on a budget and still like top your locals, you know, and like get to the top tables pretty much every day if you put in the time to learn this deck. Yeah.
Right, like you have E-Tally, you have all of these extenders, and it's like you don't really need the Brave stuff. Like you can still play BA and do well, and I think that's awesome.
Exactly.
Okay, so Lunalight. We have this separately, but not Lunalight, Lyrilisk. We have this separately, but I guess we mentioned this when it comes to Brigade. I don't know. I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah.
Like with that many decks that are good in the meta, I don't think it's worth picking up just pure.
Lyrilisk,
I mean, not pure. Like birds with a small Brigade engine. Like you would rather play Brigade with a small bird engine.
Yeah. And
cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna drop it in the not recommend.
Okay.
Because we did. So like you can play a small package in Brigade and do well. So
yeah.
Okay. So Evo Twin.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
this deck is like an inferior Sky Striker. Like it almost have like the same playstyle where they kind of want to get like a draw every turn. They want to play a lot of hand traps.
Mm-hmm.
But I've tested it. I even played it in a couple of tournaments, even with the
Yeah.
with the Link 4, and I honestly don't see it like winning anytime soon. I think it's like Rogue, in my opinion. What do you think?
Okay.
What?
No, I would put it in Rogue as well. Like just under the Flunderies and maybe above Salamangreat, just because, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But for real, like I don't think it's better than Rogue. And it's kind of sad looking at it because they did get the support. And it's not that it's a bad deck by any stretch of the imagination, but it's like all of the other decks are better.
Yeah.
And that's when the power creep and all of that comes into play, and the differences between the tier 1 decks and the Rogue decks. And yeah, I think it's a cool deck, especially if someone does not know how to play against it, does not know what to disrupt, does not know what's happening.
Yeah.
I think you can cut them off guard with Evo Twin quite easily, but that's pretty much it. Like that's where it ends.
Exactly.
Okay. So Virtual World. I think this deck is tier 2.
Okay.
Like, I think it's been such a cool deck for so long, and it's been a good choice to pick up. It's budget, and also I felt like after VFD got hit, it was sort of like this point in time where it was very much defined, like what happens with Virtual World. Like it was just a standard build. But right now they have E-Tally, they have the Brave stuff if they want to, they have the entire Cupid pitch, like, you know, pile of cards with Auroradon, with all of that. And I think it's so awesome that a deck like this that's been out for some time now is actually still evolving. And the only problem with a Virtual World is the fact that it can break. And with the loss of desires, I think it's sort of like, you know, you need to play Prosperity, I guess, if you want to draw consistently, then you need to invest into Prosperity. But the entire deck is so budget that I don't think that's such a huge problem. Like, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I agree with you. I was gonna say the same thing. Like, we're like, I mean, I love Virtual World. I've done so much things with the deck, and like especially with the Brave stuff, which is synergizes so well with, because like you don't really have any normal summon effects on Virtual World. So, but yeah, like you mentioned, the problem is it breaks, and like especially in this format where you have to either play Droplet or Hand Traps to stop the opponent from scything you. Like it's like almost a necessity. And so you're like, okay, I have two options. I can either like run it super consistent, like play like Foolish Burial Goods, Upstart, Prosperity, and all those cards that will help your consistency, and like lower the hand traps and go in second cards. But if you do that and they scythe you, you just lose. So and then you have to play those cards, and then that lowers your consistency. So yeah, like you're like stuck in you're stuck in a hole. Like, oh, what am I gonna do? You know. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Yeah. Virtual World is one of those decks that you have sitting on your shelf, and then just take it to an event where you know what you're going to be up against.
Exactly.
And you know Virtual World is like the supreme choice.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's cool because you can play Scythe in Virtual World also and like revive it with the XYZ, send it with Beatrice.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we've seen those kinds of builds. Like, I don't know if people are still doing that, but I remember it was a thing.
Yeah.
A couple months ago.
Yeah.
All right, so we have only 2 decks left, and we need to touch upon Pendulum as well. So I guess we can get that out of the way. What do you think about Pendulum? And not just, you know, straight up Endymion or straight up like a Pendulum Magician. Like, what do you think about the fact that Astrograph is back at 1? And what's that going to sort of bring to the entire strategy? Because there is that Pendulum monster dropping. I don't know when exactly, but it's like similar to Electromite.
Oh yeah.
It's like a bit worse Electromite.
Yeah.
Where it gets you to your cards, and I think that's awesome. But I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I feel like it loses a lot to Droll. Like, I mean, historically, Pendulum has always struggled against Droll. Droll is like popular right now, so we might have to wait and see until that link drops to see how much better the deck gets. But right now, unless you're like a niche player, like those people that like put in the time on Pendulums, I don't see it. Might be Rogue, in my opinion. But what? Yeah, I don't know. I don't see.
Know. it might be even like between Rogue and actually legit just not recommend,
Yeah,
because I think the desires hit
yeah,
is what hurts Pendulum decks the most. And it's so
yeah,
funny to me because sort of Konami is sort of touching Pendulum decks always, even
yeah,
if it's indirectly.
yeah,
But I think Desires Lost is what hurts the most because it's spell counters, it's consistency, it's digging through your deck, digging through your resources. And I think that's one of the biggest losses for Pendulum, even though they did get Astrograph, but there is still no Electromite. So
yeah.
it's not, I don't think it's worth it, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, and then Ogre being like gaining popularity. Ogre is so good against Pendulum decks because you can hit the
Right.
scales. So,
Right.
yeah, like I don't think they benefit from Ogre coming back. But yeah, I would agree with you. Like putting a Rogue or not recommended. Whichever way. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. So we have a deck highly recommendable, Sword Soul. Now I have my opinions on Sword Soul, so I will let you go first.
Okay, so Sword Soul. Literally every person at my local that plays Sword Soul, they were like, "Oh, we don't care about the Protos hit." Like we were already cutting Protos. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't think like okay, so Sword Soul got like 2 hits. They got the Pot of Desires and they got the Protos hit. But I feel like aside from that, it's still like the same deck. And then a lot of people are like opting to go into like the Halki Fibrax route where they're like doing like more combos. So
Mm-hmm.
I it might be tier one. Like I think it's tier one. Like it's basically the same deck. It just doesn't like auto win whenever you Protos. But right now it can still put up the same board just without the auto win thing. But what do you think? What do you think?
In tier one,
Yeah.
under Phantom Knights, of course.
Yeah.
Would you put it above Pranks and Dragon Link?
Above pranks and that's a tough one. So yeah, so I think at the very top
Mhm.
it's Phantom Knights, Sword Soul, Prank Kids, and Dragon Link, right? Um,
Yeah, I think I would put it just below Phantom Knights, like above every
yeah,
other.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like Sword Soul is like I just don't. I don't like Sword Soul.
yeah,
Like uh, it's not just the deck that I don't like, but I
yeah,
also think it's not that good and it's way too overhyped.
yeah.
And maybe
Uh-huh.
it's just got to do with the fact that there aren't any like very prevalent decks in the meta. There are no like spiral type decks
Yeah,
or Sky Striker or type decks.
yeah,
So Sword Soul is like a good thing to deal with. Like I have no issue with actually playing against a Sword Soul deck. Like it's cool with me because I don't think it's that busted. But yeah, I think it's just very much overhyped. I don't think I would pick it up ever. It's like
yeah,
I don't know. It's like an IDS, but it's just synchro and a bit weirder. Like
yeah,
I don't really like it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like it like appeals to a certain type of player. It appeals to a certain type of player. So I understand why you
Yeah.
may not like it. So um,
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
know. I mean, it's still okay. Like it's a cool deck, but I think it's in tier one because all of the other decks are not that great. Like it's not that awesome by
Like
itself,
it
if you
reminds me
know
a
what
lot of Salamangrade. It's just like a Salamangrade 1.5 in a way, where it's like they set up
I mean. Right.
like the rage, which is the blackout, and they so
Hmm.
it's like very like
Yeah, it's
mid
very.
range. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm. And you need to like watch your resources. You need to know what you're doing with them.
yeah, exactly.
You need to grant yourself follow up
Yeah,
because you won't have it otherwise.
yeah,
And I think it's still cool that it's evolving a bit with the inclusion of like the heavenly circle, or what's it called? I don't know if I
yeah.
recall that card
The one
correctly.
that
I guess
tributes as cost.
right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's it. And overall, the mashup with Tanya is just working very well. And yeah, I think it's a cool deck, but that's pretty much everything I have to say about it.
yeah.
I think it's tier one. Okay, so the last thing we have over here is Cyber Dragon. Would you put it in Rogue or would you put it in not recommend? Because some of these decks I think we have here to just
Yeah.
slide
Oh
into.
man, like if there was a trash tier, I would put it in trash tier. But there's
Seriously, now you've heard a lot of Cyber Dragon things.
it's fun. Don't get me wrong. I have the deck in person, and like that's why I started doing YouTube is because like like a new Cyber Dragon card was gonna come out, and I'm like, oh, I want to make a video about this, but um, the deck,
Seriously?
yeah, the deck is bad. Like if we look at the top decks, right, like we have Phantom Knights, you Scythe lose. I mean, like a Cyber Dragon is almost always want a blind second, so even in that case it's bad because you just lose to Scythe, you lose to like pretty much anything that's not like link summoning. So like prank kids, they don't link summon. Like they end up with the Bow Wow, but they standby phase tributed, and they just like rely on their butler. So in a format where like Sky Striker or Salamangreat was popular, they would thrive. But since that's not the case, because they can't just contact fuse, they can't contact fuse like the Drytron board. They can't contact fuse Flunderies. Like a lot of the top decks, they can't do anything against. Yeah, but
Yeah, I think it's not a bad, like, I guess, going second deck,
yeah,
but it's really much it's really very much format dependent as to if it's gonna be cool or not.
exactly.
So I guess to round everything off, we can maybe mention a couple other decks that we didn't put on here just because it's not really worth spending the time on talking about it too long.
Okay.
But you have decks like Burning Abyss, you have Paleozoic, you have a Dragon Maid or Mech Knight, you have basically a lot of, or like Infernoble Knight, those kinds of strategies. Like I just like to call them like the Dark Warrior, just combo like piles. And with Snowback and with BA, you can play the Orbital Hydrolander, and you have a lot of different options. You know where you can take your game basically, because at the end of the day you can play whatever you want.
Exactly.
But I guess the decks we mentioned over here are the ones that you're most likely to see at a tournament. And when it comes to all of the other decks, it's like they didn't really change much. So if you are a rogue player, if you are someone that enjoys these type of decks, I guess you just need to adapt to the format as you go. And then it's not particularly like a tier thing. Like it has really nothing to do with that. It's just you play whatever you want. So funny thing is, we have exactly 5 decks in every single category. We didn't plan on that.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So I guess it's pretty much the first. Like looking at this tier list, I don't know, are you satisfied? Anything else you want to add?
I'm satisfied. I mean, if anything, you guys should be glad with him like put your deck, because you don't want to see your deck on not recommended or trash tier, because like we could have added like every deck here, but they would have probably been like at the bottom, like a lot of them. So
I just see no sense in adding a lot of decks, because it's like we all know where they are and how they rank. I guess this is sort of an overview of decks that have seen play in the last couple of months. And looking at this, I think it's a nice format to come, honestly, because all of the tier 2 decks are basically just a good hand or a card away from being tier 1. And it's like these things can happen at events, and someone can take it all the way with something like Sky Striker or Drytron even. And I think that's awesome. And it also goes to say that you need to be ready for every deck, because formats are getting more and more diverse. With decks like Sword Soul that aren't too busted being one of the best decks, you can still beat it with a random deck.
Yeah.
So I think you need to be ready for everything. Like legit, just geek every single deck, because you need to be ready. And if you play it, you know how to combat it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Exactly.
I think that wraps up the video quite well.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for having me. I mean, you have a great YouTube channel. Thank you for having me on. So, thank you.
Thank you. That's very nice of you to say. Well, we are collabing like in a bigger way than just this video. So if you guys are watching this video first, you need to hop onto his channel, because we're gonna do a tier list over there as well, because it's only suitable. So, however, if you're at his channel, well, welcome to mine if you're watching my video second. Whatever it is, hopefully you enjoyed. If you stayed until the very end and just listen to us chat, props to you. I'm very grateful. Just give the video a like and give me a sub, give him a sub, and check out his channel. And like a Discord, like a Twitch, all of that. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.